Hey everyone, we're pleased to announce that this episode of the 84 Million Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Luxfolio. Inspired by Bitcoin's success as a corporate treasury asset, the team at Luxfolio is pioneering the Litecoin treasury strategy as the very first publicly traded Litecoin treasury company. Confident in Litecoin as a hard, scarce, and sound digital currency, Luxfolio is proving that digital silver is now institutional grade. With a robust Litecoin balance sheet, Luxfolio is committed to actively supporting the Litecoin ecosystem, collaborating with developers, miners, media, and others, promoting further Litecoin adoption. Luxfolio is setting the standard for Litecoin adoption at the corporate level. Learn more at luxfolio.com, luxfolio.com. When it comes to mining, pools matter. This is why we recommend our friends at POWERPOOL. POWERPOOL is a mining pool built by miners to maximize profits. If you're mining from home with one unit or have a scaled mining operation, use POWERPOOL for the best payouts. POWERPOOL supports SHA-256, X11, Blake 2S, Eaglesong, K-Heavy Hash, and of course our favorite, S-CRYPT for Litecoin, Dogecoin, Bellscoin, and others. Mining with POWERPOOL is easy with a simple user interface, and the platform has all the reporting you're looking for. POWERPOOL typically charges a 1% pool fee, which is very good, but if you use the 84 million link in the show notes, you will pay less than 1%, and no one is going to argue with that. So sign up, point your machines, and start mining with POWERPOOL. Enjoy immediately lower fees and better payouts. Cheers, happy mining. Hello, welcome to the 84 Million Podcast. Today is episode number 44, and we have Rob of SadFrogs with us. We're going to talk about NFTs, mining, kind of DIY stuff on Litecoin. But let me give him an introduction here. Rob is an electrician. He's kind of a tinkerer and the creator of one of the earliest successful NFT projects on Litecoin, again, SadFrogs. He's a member of the Litecoin community and can be found on X at 84isenough. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We met at the Litecoin Summit 2024. It's been over a year already. We missed you at 2025. A lot's happened in the Litecoin space in that time. Maybe you could give us a survey of how you've kind of surveyed things over the past year. What's changed for you? What are the big things that you see that have occurred over the last year or so?
Well, first of all, meeting you in Nashville, that was an awesome occurrence. Big fan of the podcast. I definitely try not to miss any episode when they come out. Big fan of the coffee. So, it was cool I'm always staying tuned for some coffee, right? So that's a good thing for me. But yeah, I really do like the consistent feed from you. I do. I like every time something comes out from the 84 Million Podcast, I can tune in and just listen to whatever's going on. You got the Lit VM stuff that was going on recently. You've got these ETFs, and I try to pay attention to like layer one stuff, but it is cool to see things going on institutionally. But your podcasts really are what stand out throughout this last year, because it just there's a lot to keep up with on the space. There's a lot to keep up on the space, and I don't just focus on Litecoin lately. I mean, it's crazy, but there's merge mining, and you've got Dogecoin, you've got Digibyte, you've got Bellscoin. And so Twitter's a pretty loud space. So whenever the 84 Million Podcast comes out, man, that stands out.
Well, I wasn't expecting all the kindness to start the show out, but thank you for the good words. We do our best here. And yeah, there's been a lot to keep up with. That's absolutely correct. And I can identify with that because I'm kind of sitting here with these conversations and doing my best to facilitate them. And there's a lot of moving pieces. It's like it's accelerating. So speaking of LitVM, we look forward to getting Aztec and Rock on the show in the next coming weeks. We've been talking about it. It's just a scheduling thing. So
That'd be cool. I'm someone who has to get my hands on the tools to even understand them, right? Like you could read a book to me and I won't be able to tell you what the story was about, but and if we play it out, I'll tell you.
Well, that's why I like to call you kind of a tinkerer. You do a lot of things yourself, DIY. You seems like a very much like a not a polymath, but I mean, you do a lot of different things, and what it seems that whatever you're interested in, you kind of pick up and you start doing. And I think that's actually a really great thing. And I think we need to see more of that in the
Yeah,
space.
I definitely get hyper fixations and I execute on them. I try to. Uh sometimes things go to the wayside, but there's always I try to pick them back up and be consistent with that, even having everybody's got them, life, job, all the things you're balancing. Uh, but I've been in Litecoin since what, 2014, and I'm 27 now. So how old was I? What's that, 13? Um, but yeah, so there's a lot to learn, and I feel like I've definitely learned a lot going through it. But yeah, I'm excited to see how things go.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. Me too. Well, that makes both of us. The Litecoin family is growing and exciting to be a part of, and we all get to do our part, right? But it was great meeting you last year. We missed you this year. Again, a lot has happened in the last year. Lots of institutions, ETFs, all these things. More will be revealed. But I do want to talk about kind of what you've been doing, and
Right.
maybe you can tell us a little bit more about how you ended up in crypto. You said 13 years. What were you doing 13 years ago in crypto, and how did you end up in Litecoin?
13 years ago, I was just a little degenerate kid in high school, and I was learning about all sorts of things, hacktivism. I wasn't someone who really respected authority. So, you learn about these groups like Anonymous, you learn about the tools that are used, like Tor and so I was exposed to Bitcoin, and everybody knows about Bitcoin, and it was peer-to-peer cash. But in the eyes of everybody I talked to, it was funny money. But it allowed me to dive into really what money means, what value means, how you store it, you know, how to think of it in terms of time. And I wanted it. I wanted some Bitcoin. And so I was like, "Hey, Dad, I don't have a credit card. I don't have any ties to a financial system at 13 years old." So I'm like, "Dad, can you give me some some Bitcoin for my birthday?" And he's like, "I'm not getting no funny money for you. How much is this? $300? That's so expensive. No way. No way am I getting you some funny money." I'm like, whatever. All right, kicking rocks. My birthday comes and I get I do end up getting some cryptocurrency, and this is my first exposure to cryptocurrency, and I wouldn't change it for anything. Like people give me a hard time for it, but it was a full Litecoin, physical Litecoin, and that was the only way he could fathom getting something for me like this, like that. It was something physical he could give me, and I respect that. That was cool, and I still have that to this day. And so that's how I got into it. And from there, I the community spoke to me. I dove into like what it was. And I think at that point, Litecoin was like $14. So it was early, and no one I really knew like worked with it, so I had to kind of figure it out. So like I was mining a little bit with my computer, and as time went on, but yeah, that's how I got into it.
Yeah, what year was it?
2014.
2014. Okay, so you that was early ASIC. Well, can you call them ASICs? It was beyond Node. There was again the guy I knew was making the Rocky Mountain miners. I think that's what they were called,
Mhm.
John. So it wasn't like an ant miner or anything, but it was still.
Right.
I think we were getting
And I
close to ASIC.
don't think
Getting close to
I was
ASICs.
I don't think I was mining at 2014. I would probably be mining, closer to 2016, towards the end of high school. And I'd be doing things like Ethereum. They were more GPU
Yeah,
intensive, and I was a gamer.
graphics cards.
And yep, and that's when Ethereum was proof of work. It's now proof of stake at this point. Um, but yeah, you could mine a bunch of different things, and I would usually take the profit out in either Bitcoin or Litecoin, and but nobody knew, what these things were going to do at that time, and they would go up, but you didn't know that the next step was going to be that much up, right? And you used it, and I definitely uh was in the positive using this stuff, especially even through college. I had a milk. One of my best friends. To this day, he was my roommate back then, and he had to put up with me having a milk carton, like they just have like a bunch of milk cartons then that get delivered, filled with motherboards stacked on top of each other with risers, with some graphics cards, shoved underneath the bed with a box fan pointed out the window for the whole semester. Allegedly hypothetical. Well, actually, I could
Thankfully,
say
you
that
didn't
this.
burn it
If
down.
I could, yeah, and the school's not no longer even a thing, so I could say that. But yeah, it was pretty fun. Good times.
What was the
Good
physical
times was
Litecoin you're describing?
It was a you could check them out on eBay. They're you've got I think this one was called a vest crypto or but they're a version or a version of the Castatius coins, or however you pronounce them, but
Yeah, yeah.
they have like a hologram sticker that's like tamper proof with a private key underneath that, and then on the one side is a QR code with your actual address that you can send it to. And there's been different variations of it through time over the days, but that was one of the original ones.
Very cool. I know Ballet last year at the summit gave something out similar, the kind of
Yeah, the
the
point ones.
silver
Yep.
coin point one. Those are cool. I like
Yeah.
those. I think the physical items are actually pretty neat.
I love it.
I didn't look any of the old Litecoin ones up though. I couldn't. I'll have to look that up after the show. That's pretty cool. Did you still keep
Yeah.
it? Do you still have it?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I'll never get rid of that. No way.
I like it. So maybe we can talk about what you've done in terms of digital art first before we get into some other things, because you really were among the first NFTs on Litecoin. I mean, I couldn't remember someone earlier than you. Maybe you can remind us of the other projects that were being built in the time that you were building. And I'm trying to even think eras. You were creating SadFrogs before Ordinals, before Runes, and I want to say on OmniLight.
Yeah, that's correct.
So tell us the
Yeah.
story about sad frogs. What is the sad frog and kind of your inspiration to set that up?
So the frogs were sad at, like, the state of the space when uh it's NFTs in particular. Um because at one point I was doing Ethereum NFTs and Solana FTs, and with my buddies at the time being complete degens and just not knowing what's going on, what's going on in the space, but being like, hey, this one NFT from this one guy that this guy said is going to do this thing. And like one guy gets pretty lucky, and you're like, all right, I'll throw some money at it. And you just realize very quickly what is going on in the background. And it's some shady stuff. And if you look into the technology that allows this shady stuff to happen, you're like, all right, this is I could go into it, but that would be a whole discussion uh on its own. But I pretty much made Sad Frogs to be something different than that, something you can not have to worry about low amounts, things you can track on an actual chain that requires fees that go to other people, miners, to confirm those transactions, not something you can just, send $1 a million times and let everybody know you got $1 million in volume so they can FOMO in. So that's how it started. But you're talking about the eras and when it started back in time, bring it
Yeah.
back to Litecoin, right? So Omnilite, I don't know when Omnilite started, but Omnilite was really cool, especially finding it after going through the trenches of Ethereum and Solana.
I think it was
Because
2021, I think.
is that when it started? Yeah.
Because
Cool.
it was before MWeb. MWeb was the following spring.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. MWeb's nice. I haven't used MWeb too much, regrettably. I gotta get more into it. But yeah, Omnilite was cool. Omnilite was cool. The only downside of it, and the reason why we transitioned to ordinals, is because what Omnilite is it allowed you to have pointers on chain. So you could point to other assets, just the same as Ethereum NFTs were, just the same as Solana NFTs were at that time. And that structure at at the time was called IPFS. Are you aware of that? The
Interplanetary
interplanetary.
file system. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Tell us more about that. But yeah, I think a lot of people were doing IPFS and then they were pointing the OmniLite asset to the graphic hosted on IPFS. But yeah,
Correct.
tell us about that.
Yeah, and so there's just some fundamental flaws with the IPFS. Like you get islanded out. It could, it's not eternal and it's not dependent on the blockchain that you're using. And one of the reasons I really like
But I
Litecoin.
think some of us thought it was eternal. So tell us about that. Because I think, oh, it's on IPFS. It's going to be there forever. It's like, I mean, Ethereum domains were also on IPFS. And I know that Opera, the browser, would render them because I built some for fun. But I don't even know if they're still live. And
Right.
I didn't change anything.
And that's the thing. I didn't need to know more than that to dive further more into the tech. So I just didn't. I just opted out of IPFS. So I really don't know. I couldn't tell you more about it, but I know that it happens. But I know that it doesn't happen on Litecoin when it's directly inscribed on chain, and other chains directly like it, especially through proof of work.
But you had like a
Um,
2 year gap where really you only had OmniLite, right? Before the Ordinals technology came out. And I want to say that was 2023. Now I'm having to
yeah,
hopefully speak accurately. Look at the old episodes with Luke Wright, episode 4.
I was doing the same thing. I was scrolling to
I
like,
sometimes
when
forget
did
all of
I
the
make this?
chronologies.
Yeah, like but yeah, it's hard to keep track of when and what's going on in the space. But yeah, it started on Omnilite, and I believe there was 16 or 18 hand-drawn, unique, non-generated art pieces. There's like a samurai one. There was one in pajamas. There was one in a pink unicorn suit. There's so many of them. I mean, 18 of them, and it was a lot of fun. Esports. Um, and what I did when Ordinals came out and Bitcoin, I was fascinated. I was paying attention. So as soon as someone better at developing than me at the time moved Bitcoin Ordinals over to Litecoin, I took the day off of work and I was like, I'm gonna do something with this. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I sat there and I drew some traits and I drew some a base frog, and I didn't know how to use these generative art things at this time. With I think they're hash lips is one of them, where you can just like put in 10,000 images or just a few images and traits and line them all up, and it'll produce and generate as many images as you want of the combination of that. I didn't know how to use any of that at that point, so I sat there. I'm like, all right, draw all these things, hand match these traits, and be like, all right, looks good, eyeball as quick as possible because people are inscribing right now, right? And I was like, hey, eyeball these things, make sure there's no doubles, make sure there's no doubles that's like being inscribed, save the metadata. And throughout this whole process, other people are doing this. I'm talking to Indigo, talking to Luke Wright, and a bunch of other like Bitcoiners that have already done it on their side, and we're all just trying to like do something in this ecosystem as quickly as possible. And it really was a race. And I think I got into it on day 2, and that was sub 60,000 at that point.
Well,
And
that's really
that generate yeah. And so there was 84 frogs I was able to get out, and that was pretty cool. And yeah, from there it's been a lot of fun. I was able to reach out to a majority. There's still a couple of the original frogs, ordinal frogs that I'm holding on the back burners because I have not been able to reach out to like 2 of the 18 holders of the original Omnilite frogs. It's hard to keep track of this stuff. Like, or original Omnilite, like yeah. But there's stuff and it's happening, and I'm just winging it, to be honest. And I feel like everybody that's part of the ecosystem, they're aware of that. They know it and they respect it, and that's what they're here for. They're just down for the ride because they know that at least there is a ride. And that's just really what I want to continue doing for the space, and uh, you know, fill in my time with, because it is fun. It's a lot of fun.
well. I like how you actually hand drew them, and I remember you talking about the process once upon a time in the underground Wednesday night kind of meetups or the spaces,
Yeah,
and
great times.
Yeah, I think that was before you could run a script to add all the attributes. I've never done that. Um, but I thought it was neat that your original ones were just hand drawn. Now, did you eventually get, because I know you released PFPs, I have one.
Nice,
Actually, I think I have two.
nice.
One of them I got from you directly, and another one I got from the art toy at the summit
Bits,
with Bits. Yeah, because
very cool.
he made the toy.
He did
So
such a good job on those. Like, very much props to him and the success for that, because that those came out really well.
I
Actually,
can I
have one right here.
me too. We're ready.
Hey, cheers.
It's the same one.
Yeah, the OG.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I went for the OG one. I know I always have to bring my gloves out when I show the toys. But the knife is removable. And then I got this little frog mail with it. This tiny little
There you go.
frog mail envelope with number 257 ordinal 2127491 PFP. So I looked it up. It's the Samurai PFP, which is pretty cool.
Hey, nice. Nice,
So,
nice, nice.
so I do have two frogs. I'm a frog holder. And I think it's just crazy because I remember, you're just in the room with it. I feel like I'm making this artwork. But looking back at it now, like ordinals are already a few years old, let alone Omni Light. Like, again, you were one of the very first people, and you're still around. You're still doing stuff. We're going to talk more about what you're doing. But I think it's aged pretty well. You've had a lot of frogs out.
Yeah, I mean, I so because there was only so many of the original ones, and it quickly got out of hand to the point where like I can't even afford to buy one of my own frogs, right? On that original collection. And so there are some hardcore collectors out there that I don't know who they are, right? This is a free market, and that's the beauty of it. But I also wanted to keep having fun, right? So I made a just another collection that I announced as, this is going to be an ongoing thing, and I'm gonna just keep drawing stuff. And I did giveaways. Um I did give a bunch of freaking giveaways. We released them for like point one, like a small batch, and then point two, a small batch. And then, people started listing them, and then, I'm not going to undercut people's price. So then you just let the market go from there. And I'm not ever going to be one to just dump things on the market. I make announcements like, hey, this is what's happening, this is the price, what's going on. And it all goes back to development. It really does. There's a wallet that just I don't really keep track of it because it just goes through. I spend it into. We've got a group called the Node Runners. I could talk all about where it's going, where it's gone, and but yeah.
Maybe before we move from SadFrogs and going to markets, did you ever get to not just hand drawing them? Did you ever use kind of a tool to make a?
I did at some point, and I can't recall if the PFP project did at some point get to it towards the end. I don't think with the samurais it was, but there was the pirates after that, maybe. I don't even know if I released the pirates really, because a lot of that stuff is put on pause because there's too many. I didn't want to flood the market, so I slowed it down a little bit. But I've done a lot of tinkering on Dogecoin and Dogecoin Doginals. Yep, and I learned a lot about with Doginals because, and even Digibyte, the group that I was work with, we actually put ordinals on Digibyte when everybody was like, you can't put ordinals, you can't put ordinals on Digibyte, you can't do it, need Taproot. And these guys, they were like, we can do it, I'll do it right now, and they did it. I just was like, I dropped the code to the guys that because I know some Digibiters, and they're like, what? And I actually pissed off some people because they ended up blocking me. I'm like, all I did was a thing that was possible. Like, I'm sorry you don't like the truth, my bad. But yeah, I have a lot of love for Digibyte, and I have a lot of love for Dogecoin, and they are very unique communities, and that's what I love about it. And that's why I support Litecoin, because it really just hosts this table of diversity and decentralization where I could we could go into mining. We want to talk about mining. Why I think Litecoin's better. It's merge mining. It's community. It's sharing, and that's what I think the conversation always leads to when you talk about sad frogs, and I like that.
Yeah, we are the host. Litecoin is the host.
Yep.
And I do want to talk about mining probably a little bit later in the show because I do know you mine and you are an electrician. So we should probably talk about some things relating to those ideas. But what markets do you like for ordinals? I know there's chicken market. What some markets cropped up, some have disappeared over the past few years. What are the markets you're looking at, and like where is it?
I'm surprised there's not more. I wish I could say, oh, here's a list of all these markets, right? No, I can't. I can't do it. I can chicken market is the one that I predominantly use. I know Lightverse went to from OmniLite to Ordinals. I've got opinions on things on all of that because it's a difficult process, right? To do something like that. So it's a feat. There was obscure ones. I don't even know. Can't recall the names, but they popped up, popped down. Don't know if they still exist, but I would really just concretely say chicken market right now. Which is a shame because we need more options like that. But what can I do? I can only accept what I can control and
Yeah.
keep doing what I can do. I can't make a market right now.
Well, maybe you could.
I probably could. I just need to give myself a little more time and then maybe. But
What about the Omni layer frogs? Are those tradable anywhere? I think the only place would be within what Mono built.
That's down. Yeah.
Because they had a Dex within the OmniLight, like a bolt-on thing with Light Worlds.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak for anybody, but I'm not sure if that's possible right now.
Okay, so maybe something happened. We haven't had them on in a while. I have not heard anything.
Yeah, it's just nothing happened. Just things are it's a work in progress, right? It's Light Worlds has always been a evolving thing, and I know that they're definitely working on some stuff, and those are my guys for sure. But I don't know if the OmniLight capabilities are working right now.
Okay, I feel like that's really the last two individuals working on OmniLight, because I think it was nearly phased out. I mean, the software is available; you can download it. They're using it. I don't think the foundation's really doing much at all, wanting to update the code or the node or anything like that. So it's
And I love that.
I'll say it may have been abandoned. I mean, it works, but it may have been abandoned. I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of emphasis there. I think that's a safe way to put it, but it's definitely not like forbidden, put it that way. Like you can still access it and use it. It's just it's not really promoted.
Excuse me.
What I can tell. So I didn't know about that. So basically, if you have an OmniLight client, you can trade these things back and forth. But that's probably about it. There's really no support. There's really no support for Omni.
No, there's not. And that is why we moved to Ordinals because Ordinals it's hard when you talk about on-chain things because there's layer ones, there's layers twos, there's pseudo layer ones, there's side chains. There's a lot to talk about in terms of like how you're referencing things about your basic layer one. But Ordinals in itself, the inscription at the very least is layer one on chain, always going to exist. Doesn't even matter if you're using the quote unquote ordinal protocol, right? The ordinal protocol is just what keeps track of it. But it's on chain. The content's there. You can take it off. With OmniLight, you need an OmniLight client, which is something different. But yeah, but I love what they're doing too. I'm not gonna tell them to slow down ever. And they're doing other things. They're doing other things as well. But I'm a big supporter of underground stuff. Going against the grain.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, I like that they're creating games. I mean, it's great. They're building, right? And,
Yeah.
But in terms of, I look at more like that is the oldest variety of NFT that, as far as I can tell, on Litecoin. So for a historical or kind of like collector value, there's something significant there because there was like a period of time where you can get it and it's almost gone, right? So some people may want to get the originals, right? Your first frogs they were not ordinals because ordinals did not exist. I do think ordinals are a nicer way to do NFTs for sure. Seeing that it's L1. You don't need anything. You could use it in a node or any wallet. You just need some coin control. Now, will the images be rendered? Not necessarily. You need an indexer, but some wallets support them. LiteScribe and Light Wallet. Not Light Wallet. I misspeak. Stack Wallet did. We got to have them kind of update their code. I think they're plugged.
Really, that's cool.
No, they were great, and I've talked to Diego about it. So they're literally working on it as we speak. So hopefully it won't be long. Well, it was working for a long time, and I think one of the updates, it's just the script broke, and then so it's not like your ordinals were erased. It's just you could literally have a mobile app where you could realize the actual images, and it's like, oh, that's inscription. It was really, really, really super nice. It is nice.
No.
But I do think ordinals make a lot more sense for NFTs in terms of art, in terms of their portability, and
there's been some really cool stuff built, not just on Litecoin, right? There's been very cool stuff built, not just on Litecoin. It's on Litecoin. The capabilities are there. But I work with two other guys. I say I work with them, but I hang out with them after work very, very often on Discord. And we all live in different parts of the world, but we have similar hyperfixations in the way we get into things, and they're some amazing guys, and they have ideas and they execute them. They have ideas and they execute them, and in the process of ideas executing, man, everything gets glossed over. Nobody's paying attention. There's no news on it. There's no highlighting. There's no podcast, right? It's just like, look at this cool thing that I did. But yeah, this is way cooler than this other guy's stuff. Oh, check out this other cool thing. And it's that on repeat. And it's beautiful to watch in person, but it's hard when I'm listening to all this other stuff too. And I'm like, dang, there's some really, really cool stuff going on. And I wish I could bring some attention to it, right? And but some of the stuff that they build is simple things like an ordinal viewer, right? And the example would be, everyone's trying to do ordinal viewers in your browser, and what this guy did, he's like, I'm gonna make an ordinal viewer that you download, and you have your own node, and it actually does all of this process based on there, and it's just a view. It's just a viewer, and it was the most aha moment thing I've ever seen in my life. And then it just got moved on to the next. I'm like, whoa, guys, slow down. But then life goes on, and I get distracted and everything. But just simple things like that, I see over and over again, man. So there is stuff that can happen with ordinals. It's just a matter of time and effort and where people allocate those things, right?
Do you think we're going to see a resurgence in NFTs and ordinals on Litecoin specifically?
A resurgence? I would hope, because I don't even think anything's happened yet. I feel like that would suck if there wasn't, right? Hasn't been any infrastructure. Kudos to the little that is there, but the potential is vast. We're on a chain that has never gone down. We can inscribe content that will be there forever. Especially with LitVM coming out, if you really want to get to like layer 2 stuff, I'm sure there's even more potential there. But I do think that NFTs are going to make the comeback if people want them to. That's really all it is. It's if people want them. If people find them useful, if people are like, because gone are the days of buy my collectible to buy my collectible, and gone are the days of fake utility. You're not gonna sell a scam to people at least as easy as you were at the beginning.
Yeah,
right. I say that, but it still goes on, right?
It still goes on, but I think things kind of go in phases. Ethereum, had the NFT stuff first. We got it a lot later, by the time ordinals, and that was after the OmniLite, which was kind of a primitive version of it. But ordinals, again, were a lot better for actually putting the image right on and the data right on chain layer one and wallet to wallet transmissible, nothing special. It was like kind of what you see is what you get. Granted, you need some sort of indexer, and that would be the worst case scenario if we don't have indexer support that you can't read them. But I mean, they're still there, like you said.
Right, but the thing is, you don't really need an indexer, if you don't want. I I'm careful in talking because I'm not the technical guy, right? But I've seen things be built, and you don't technically need an indexer per se, should you not want to, track them. If you just know what you have in your own wallet, you can actually break down the content within your wallet, which is much, different way to do it. But I digress.
I think for most people, the palatable way would have either an Explorer, which we've had, which the LiteScribe folks still have kept alive, because the main one that the foundation, or is now pointing to the foundation, and a ordinals.
I noticed that. What happened with that? Ordinals Lite is not on.
I don't know who runs it, but I know it seems to be a property of the foundation. But I know there's another version of it which LiteScribe has kept alive, which is very important because, again, if you have 20 different images in your wallet and they're not rendering, you don't know which ones, because the plugin broke, for example, Stack Wallet. It's important to be able to look up your address or the transaction in some sort of place. So you can duplicate.
I was running it for a while.
This one. And you can run your own instance. But I do think an indexer is important, especially for people that are not as technical as you. I think it's just important to know exactly what. Now, you could save everyone as their own entry and label it and all that stuff. So, but again, there's ways to do it. But I think the easier, the better. We shouldn't have to be like, oh, we can figure it out and muscle through the hard way, and that's the best we can do. Like, clearly, we will muscle through it and figure it out. But I think things could get, like you said, there's no infrastructure. Like, we had this little blip of like 0 to 26 million ordinals, which was a lot. But it's like ever since that time, which was back in 2024, over a year ago, there hasn't been, I don't even know if we're at 27 million yet. So it's like we went to,
and I'm pretty sure, like,
and then it just stopped.
And I, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure a lot of that is spam. Take that as you will, right?
Well,
there's
less spam is better.
Less spam is way better, but a lot of it, I feel like it was just chasing numbers too. Like, and that's why you saw that significant drop. It's like, oh well, we did not really do anything. Let's stop. It's like, oh well, that's very organic, huh?
But there was a period of interest for sure. I was interested
for sure.
You moved your frogs over. There were a bunch of legitimate collections, which again you can find on Lightverse or Chicken Market or whatever.
But there was not 26. I don't even know what the number is, right? There was a small community. Yeah, there was a small community of very, very valid community behind it, right? But then also to the side, we were looking at like, what's going on with this insane amount of numbers?
Yeah,
and you're looking at it, it's like just repeat. What's going on?
I think
and you'd see that in Bitcoin too.
Interest will return. I think there's something special about valid creative art being placed on chain. I do think it's cool. So I would hope more infrastructure, a better user experience, more people involved in this. And I think after, we go through our cycle and, the bull realm, which everyone believes we're at now, I had Tony on the last show, great episode. I do believe there's a lot of bigger things on Litecoin. Do not get me wrong, but I'm talking about it to you, a creator, specifically with images and MSTs. That's part of what we've got. It's not the whole thing. It's part of it. Yeah. And I do think there will be a restored interest in that. I think there's some neat collections that are going to only ever, I mean, your first set was only 16 to 18. Then you released, what did you say, 84 PFPs or something? Like, there's certain collections that were made once. You're not going to make them again. And I think those are important. I think Litecoin Punks, there was only 100 of them, and those were
and that's the small community I'm talking about, like the Moonbirds, Litecoin Punks. You had some, for a while, I thought, SadFrogs was the first original concept art on Litecoin, right? Because your punks are a derivative, your Litecoin Moonbirds are a derivative, and so I really thought that SadFrogs was the first original concept, and then lo and behold, months down the road, I see a tardigrade. I'm like, what is this? And I look at the number, and there's no, there's no push for marketing on it. There's no anything on Twitter on it. I just see a small sale, and I'm like, what? This is amazing. Who? And I can't find any information on where this came from, who made it, why, and it's a shame, but it's the small community is huge, and I think we need to not even small, genuine, genuine community, um, behind ordinals is nice in Litecoin. And you get that in Doginals too a little bit, but there's also a lot of drama in these different sets where there's money to be made. There's going to be drama, and that's a shame. But yeah,
Well, speaking of Lithium, we only know so much, but I know there's going to be cross chaining. I know, for example, with punks, some people vaulted them on Ethereum. Do you know if any of your frogs are living on other chains?
um, I do have a confession to make. There's one frog that lives on Solana, and I had a buddy that I was like, yeah, come on, I'll come over to Litecoin. He's like, no, 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 no. He's this funny drunk British guy. Ed, if you're listening to this, I love you, man. Um, but yeah, I don't know. He convinced me to just put it on Solana and give it to me, and I'll take it later and burn it. And I'm like, okay. And yeah. And then he lost it. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? So
The one of one frog.
the one of one frog on
Solana,
Solana
it's
is gone. Just yeah, don't drink alcohol, people. And if you do,
Amazing.
figure yourself out.
Well, it seems like there's going to be more capabilities with cross-chain assets, ordinals and otherwise. What's your opinion on that? You think that's a good thing? You think we need to see more growth in these ways, or what's your take?
I don't really have an opinion on it. I think it's gonna happen one way or another. But what I do think is that you're not going to see if you'll probably see a push to have all these collections, happen again, but I don't think you'll see as much of the attention towards it. What I do think you'll see attention towards is actually using these ordinals and using these things as tools for, I don't know, games. I think the actual speculative value, except for like the original stuff, like, or not the original stuff, but like lower inscription ID things like that. Um, I think you'll start to see more use cases for it. That's what I hope. That's what I want to see. But cross chain is going to allow that, which is huge. So I'm all for it.
Yeah.
As long as it's not misappropriated or
What would
you know,
misappropriation look like to you?
where people start doing Litecoin IOUs, man. Like it's hard, but I like again, to each their own options to increase decentralization. But I don't want to stop people from doing ETFs. I think it's a very good thing for the space. I don't want to stop people from doing, cross-chain things and possibly taking, my worry is taking actual liquidity value, balances out of the balance of Litecoin ecosystem, right? So if people are using Litecoin to generate profit and that profit is then immediately ejected out of that sphere of interest, what value does that actually bring to us, right? So what I don't want to occur is education to become secondary, layer one to become secondary. I don't want people to think that layer two tools and ecosystem is normal, right? Because that has been the narrative lately on Bitcoin, and that's where I believe it's been misappropriated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had arguments about layer twos in the past. It's the ideal is layer one. and there's more trust that is required with L2 and beyond. Some people will disagree with me and say no, but it's either trusting your protocol, trusting the code, whatever. There's different varieties of trust and trustlessness, and L2 is a concession. Doesn't mean we can't use it, and we should just realize what it is. Right. I'm interested to see what the Litecoin computer is doing. I'm interested to see what Lithium is doing with Bitcoin OS. All that stuff's great. People are going to use it. I may not. I don't know. Who knows? But more will be revealed on how we can use these new systems. So I'm all for it, but we do need to realize L1 is not L2.
And we need to have more proof of concepts. Like, come on, Bitcoin computer. I mean, even if you do have proof of concepts, right? And it's not been presented to me. And as a user, I want to have videos. I want to see it be used. I want to have a proof of concept before I dive into stuff. And, Ordinals did a great job at that. And at least begging the question, right? I'm like, yo, check this cool stuff out. I haven't seen that I've seen it from LitVM. There's definitely like buzz around LitVM, and I don't truthfully know exactly what entails. I don't know if it's ZK rollups. I know about it, but yeah, with Bitcoin computer, Litecoin computer, it's been here a while, right?
It has
long time.
It's a very small team, but I'd encourage you to reach out to them. Yeah,
I would. No, I have. I've looked into it a lot. But yeah, I will. Yeah, I definitely will, because I don't even what's the ecosystem? What kind of, are there markets in place for that? Is there are people using it?
They have some things built in already, some games they've had, I believe, an Ordinals exchange. I've not used it, but I've had Clemens on the show. I've talked to him a lot. And the times I had together with him personally, he's a wonderful guy, very smart guy. But I'm not the guy to tinker again with these things.
Right.
So I don't deeply dive in like I'm going to build, like I'm probably not going to use the Litecoin computer. But the fact that other builders that are in the space that makes me very happy. I'm not coding on JavaScript. Their thing is that JavaScript, which is the most robust, broad computing language, can actually communicate with L1 Litecoin. That's pretty cool. You don't have to use Solidity like you need to on Ethereum, to build anything. So I think it's really great. I would agree that probably more needs to be fleshed out, and it's going to continually be evolving, but I can't speak for them. But yeah, reach out to Clemens. He's super responsive, and I'm sure they'd be glad to hear from you and want to know what people think.
Right. I think people want to think about it, and then sometimes it just needs to be more in front of our faces, I think. I gotta wanna dive in, I guess.
Yeah.
And I definitely do. I definitely do now. And but yeah, I gotta see more. Gotta see more in general from infrastructure.
What was it like? You mentioned it a moment ago about how Ordinals was different. Was it just community tutorials? Everyone just dove in because it was a simple concept that we knew how to use, and everyone was just telling their friends about it. In other words, like, I'm going to create, a video of how to based upon this, and then everyone's just sharing, and it was like a firestorm. What was that? What was that like? And what were you?
Well, to be fair, it had to be the avalanche effect, right? They happened on Bitcoin, and however it happened on Bitcoin, that created a magnetic effect for things to happen and trickle down to Litecoin. With ICP, you have Bitcoin computer, but you haven't had that magnetic effect with it. So I couldn't tell you where the snowball came trickling down from on Bitcoin side. I know it was probably like a month before, 2 months before, probably not 2 months before, but shortly before Litecoins came out. That's when Bitcoin's Ordinals came out.
It was very quick. Yeah.
So I really can't answer that.
Well, let's talk about some of the other things you've been doing. I do want to talk about mining. Before that, you've set up a shop. You're sort of creating tickers and some different physical products now, some art toys. Tell us about this stuff.
I'm an electrician, so I've know a little bit about electrical theory. And in the past year, I tinkered with electronics. I made this thing called like a positivity cube out of some Tupperware and a little screen. And this like Arduino module, I stripped it down and actually like built the Arduino module on a PCB. And you shake it and it just gives you cosmic quotes like a magic 8 ball. And that was a couple of years ago, and that was before AI. And so now AI is out here, and you can build and design whole circuit boards and understand what it's doing, and then you know ship out a design to China and have it sent back, and then you can assemble it and you can get a finished product out. Anyone can do it, and so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to actually, grab these opportunities that this AI stuff is allowing us. Like we're capable people already. Might as well use this as a tool. It's easy to get lazy with it. Like I've definitely like sat there in the depths of the night at like 3 a.m. and it just, oh yeah, accept, and you're like, whoa, everything's broken. No. Um,
Were,
but yeah,
were you shipping out faulty units?
so many faulty
Just
units.
kidding.
So many. Yeah, all three of them are faulty.
So you sent 3 units out. I don't know how many you made. I know you made a
Yeah,
ticker, which was your rudimentary kind of proof of
I
product
have.
or concept, and you kind of made that. Hey, these are the only ones we got, and then we're going to make them better. But they're neat. I didn't. You. I mean, clearly you know what orders come into. I did not place one because I want a pretty one when they're done.
Yeah,
But I
that's what a
but
lot
I
of
do
people say.
but I do think it's neat to see what you're kind of coming up with, because I think this creativity in Litecoin, and again supporting Litecoin in the physical world, is something, of course, I appreciate a lot. I mean, I support Bits and his art toys. We have a shop at 84 million, right? So we like physical
Check them out.
real world items that point back to Litecoin.
Yeah, yeah. And it's fun. That's what I love. I like when shit stuff's fun. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be
So
doing it.
AI inspired you. I thought it was just you and, grit and electrician brain
It,
was producing all
well,
this. You're outsourcing all.
for sure. Yeah, no, scratch all the AI. It was not no AI involved. I did it all by myself. I went to the library
You had it
actually.
in,
I had to get a library card and get encyclopedias.
and it
No
came to you in a
encyclopedias.
dream.
Right. Yeah. No, I have a great group of friends. Is really what it comes down to. Check him out. You got really shady Dev. It's counterintuitive, but he's a great guy. And then you've got Big Chief. What is it? Martin Seeger. Martin Seeger 2. He's doxed himself, so that's not my fault. That's his tag. He's a great guy. Um, and yeah, they're awesome. And watch out for things that they do because they come out quick and then they're glossed over. And they deserve some attention because they're building some really cool stuff. And not just on Litecoin, but mostly on S-CRYPT coin. So they got a lot of love for Litecoin.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware of what he's done, and again, remembering the underground days, I believe he was one of the folks in the room pretty regularly. But as were you. Um, Regarding Bits, did you check out his latest card set coming out in the next month or so?
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
your
I'm
opinions on
excited.
that?
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. I think it's gonna be sick.
Well,
Everything Bits puts out is just top tier. So pay attention to what comes out from him. He's exquisite creator.
I agree with you. Although now you're getting close to his space, I'm sure he's coaching
Oh,
a little bit.
I've been very, I've been trying to be very mindful of being, very transparent. Like, hey, I'm not trying to do anything
No, it's
that's going to step
good.
on your toys, on your, what's Freudian slip, step on your toys.
No, but it's good. I think we celebrate others as the space grows. But I mean, it is he is kind of the Litecoin art guy, art toy guy, and he does a great job. But I know he's your friend, so obviously he's
Yeah.
going to help you, and he'll probably give you tips that will help you make better product at the end of the day. So I think it's amazing.
Yeah, and the process we do are completely different as well. He does actually like fine resin UV curing. What he does is way more um labor intensive As far as the craft and making pristine things, I mean, I actually have examples, the differences right now. So this would be an example of the kind of art that I'm able to produce. It's the lined 3D printer, and then this is like the actual quality. Oh, so nice that he can make. And that's final product type things. Right now, SadFrogs is very much still in like the prototyping of things. And some of the final products will probably still be prototype-esque, as are some of, your like your BitX. I don't know if you're familiar with BitX on Bitcoin stuff.
Weren't you looking at creating one of those too? Because I mentioned about we could get a Litex or something. I don't have a BitX.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. But if it was in my capabilities, I'd do it. I would totally
Weren't
do
you
it.
talking about that at one point?
I was. It would be fun. It might
Keep
it
your
may
eye
or
on that. That could be cool. I mean,
yeah.
granted, you can get an old,
Yeah, it might be something that
L3 or whatever and solo mine that thing. But I
it
mean,
might be something, yeah, I might be able to talk to you about it at another point, honestly.
yeah.
Because because there might be plans going on, but that's all I can really say about that.
I think the concept of lottery mining is interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
yeah,
no
it
reason why you
is.
can't lottery mine
I mean,
because
honestly, why hide it? Why?
rules make sense. And if you have more firepower, it's better than not. But I mean, if you can get a cheap unit and play the lottery, basically, I mean, I think it's kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, if you are, I mean, why not talk about it? Yeah, I'm looking at reverse engineering the BitX and the L3's chips into into actually being able to hash and single or like small packet chip units and actually be able to communicate to a small board and things like that. And so if anybody's willing and able to do that, reach out because we've designed little tiny development boards for you to actually work with these tiny microchips.
Would you run a pool for that?
We're not even there yet. We are
If you
not even
were,
there.
because that's the thing. If you're pooling, you're adding your energy to
It would
the
be
pool, but you wouldn't use a pool for a solo miner. It wouldn't make any
no.
sense because you're not going to get anything. You have to
Right.
go full blown mining and play your odds with the little amount of energy you have, right? So you'd have to write it so we could solo mine.
That's if um so that's true if you're just working with Litecoin, right?
You're
But
thinking about
and
other S-CRYPT chains.
totally, totally, why not?
I think all of them. You should be able to choose whichever one you want.
Yep. I think that'd be great. I
Yeah.
think that's a great idea. So there's still a lot
S-CRYPT
of
solo mining with little units sounds interesting to me. When you finish it, come back and
I
talk
mean
about it.
I mean if you really think about it, whenever you add an S-CRYPT coin, it's just like building a little casino on back of Litecoin. That's that someone said that to me and I'm like, don't say that. That's not a good way to put that. It's like, but there's a lot of S-CRYPT coins that come out very often. And you can, things that people have never even heard of. You have like Bonk coin, Schick, which is like a copy of Shiba Inu. You've
Yep.
got Pepe coin, you've got Flap coin, you've got there's so many. I
I
mean,
think
and
New
that
York coin was one of them too.
I'm sure. And so the
Dingo coin, Lucky coin, Junk
Lucky
coin.
coin, yep, can't forget that. That's iconic. Junk coin is
But it
iconic.
helps with
Lebowski coin.
but auxiliary proof of work, that all benefits the miner. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and you could get payment in all of them, or you could have them all switched into Litecoin, for example, or Bells if you want to get them all in Bells or Doge. Of course, I don't prescribe, but it's a Litecoin podcast. And the neat thing is you can, you know, basically, if you're interested in mining Litecoin, you're going to get so much pure Litecoin, but you're going to mine other stuff that you can get paid out in Litecoin, which is amazing. So, in other words, it's much more profitable to mine S-CRYPT for the
Yeah,
miners, and it is still possible to do it at home. Segway,
that's
home mining. What do we need to do to set up a home mine, Rob? We've talked about this on the show. I want to say twice. We've had Nathan Poole on two occasions and talked about it. But I think some people think either this is impossible, I can't touch it, too confusing, which is not true, or it's easy, I'm just going to pull it out of the box and plug it in, also not true. what's the sweet spot between what do you have to have in your home to accommodate a unit, and what are we getting into if you actually, this person says, what's your case for home mining, and how is it, how do you do it?
So that's hard for me to talk about because I'm an electrician and I'll just go, full send. Like, oh, you could do a lot of stuff. Most people aren't willing to, run new lines for themselves. But if you really wanted to, you'd have to get an electrician to run. Traditionally, how it's been, let me preface that, is you'd have to get an electrician to run like new lines to accommodate, 30 or 60 amp amps of
Breakers.
power. Yeah, breaker. Yep. And then you can split those off into other disconnects to then, house your miners, right? And then you have to worry about sound and heat and all of that where you live.
Yep.
Yep. And so all that stuff is really important because you want your miners to last for a long time. You want to be able to, especially if you're home mining, you want to coexist with them. And
So why
you
is it
don't
hard to
want,
coexist with a miner?
oh, I mean, it's that they're like in the 80 decibels, 70 decibels. If you're getting an L3,
So
especially if you want to be profitable or even break even or speculative mine,
well,
and you're
L3s
just
have
getting
two
into it.
fans, correct? L3s with a
Yeah,
single stack with
yeah,
like the
because
fan
they
on
don't,
each side.
they don't have like not including their separated power supplies because those can be
Okay,
whatever.
meaning
But
the
yeah,
larger
yeah.
versus
Yep.
an L9 or an L7, you're looking at four fans
You're looking at four fans and
plus the
then
power supply unit with the
yeah,
smaller fans.
yep. So your L7s, your L9s, your DG1s, your and alpha. So that's your traditional setups, right? But now you have at-home miners, which you might be able to talk more about because I haven't dove much into that. I've not owned one of these units, but Alpha Pex, that's been on my radar for a while. That price has been going up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're the equivalent of running four L3s for the power of one quietly. And that math kind of checks out, depending on the price you can get them at. And I've always been interested in that. And I don't know if could be able to tell me more or if you've had experience with those or know anybody who's had.
Alphapex, no, they were at the summit. I want to say I talked to them, a few different mining folks, but of course, Bitmain. My concern with other varieties of miners is just where, if you had an issue with your unit, where would you repair it, and are parts easy to get? And I think that's where Bitmain, the ant miners, they've been around long enough where you're going to have to pay tariffs, at least in this environment, and wait a month to get your part, as long as you're using a trustworthy.
Do we consider
Sourcer.
decentralization with that? With decentralizing your minor brands? I've never thought of it.
I'm fine for I mean, again, if we want to talk about the political system and we want everything made in America, that sounds great, but we don't have the infrastructure at this point designated to that. But yeah, if everybody and their sister were cranking out miners, sure.
Right.
I mean, I know Locotech has been working on their unit for quite some time. I look forward to that hitting the market. But I think for the sake that you're going to spend a chunk of money, get something that it's kind of like a Toyota. You've got parts, you know how to handle it. There's YouTube videos on it. You don't want to get some specialty unit, which it's like, okay, if something happens, it's a glass egg. That's my concern with getting into all these different.
And that's why I'm asking, because I went into this the same way, right? And so I haven't taken that risk. So I was just hoping somebody has, but I have not met anybody who has yet. So reach out. Let me know how your experience has been.
But you're talking about, let's say you're running your unit, back to the person. I want to help. I want to help people get into mining and not think it's impossible. Because again, I still believe it's possible to mine from home profitably, even at normal residential electricity costs. Because again, you're merge mining. You're getting multiple tokens, doing the same amount of work.
For sure.
So maybe you spend 50 or 60% on electricity that you have to sell. Okay. But you're still keeping 40. And if
Right.
you
And
get a
what are we talking about accessible? Are we, negating financially, if you're someone who's willing to spend, 20 grand and do at-home mining, you can do that with some L9s. If you want to spend 10 grand, you can do it with some L7s.
That's what I
But
want you to talk
then,
about.
but
Yeah.
then the price, gap really goes down. That's where you get into your alpha packs, right? Where, there's kind of specialty, but there's no like $2,000 miner, right? Except your alpha packs. But then it drastically drops to your L3s, right?
Well, the Doge shells, again, that's S-CRYPT.
I forget about those a lot.
They have some little ones, which I think they have standard like normal receptacles versus if you're going to get an L7 or an L9, I don't know about the L3s, you're going to need to get, a PDU to plug in the power supply from your unit to the PDU into the wall. And basically for people, it's going to be similar to like what you'd plug your dryer into, like an S630R, some major receptacle running to its own independent, 20 amp breaker or whatever. So again, you don't just plug and play a miner. They're professional.
That's
grade.
exactly it. Yeah, so I would never say,
but you can do it at home. You just have to have some infrastructure changes.
But and gold dedicated. As an electrician, I have to say, because I don't want people to think it's just easy peasy. Like you said, it's not one, but it's not impossible. It's not super easy, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible.
You really do have to be willing to dive into it, though. Like,
it'll take over your
put in before you jump in, unless you're getting an L3 and you're speculative mining, or a couple L3s in speculative mining, which I really recommend doing that first. If you're gonna think about at-home mining, speculative mine, be ready to lose some money, because if you're losing money, you're paying for an education. And education is expensive. So especially if you go in knowing like, all right, I'm prepared to lose, $15 a month on electricity, worst case scenario, if I run these 3 L3s. And in doing that, it preps you for running some L7s. It preps you for running some L9s. It preps you for, if you want to get like Nathan Poole, running a couple megawatt farms. All right. You can't do that without the skills that you would learn from running an L3. So that's what I would do. If you're going to get into it and you want to at-home mine at a budget, you don't want to take the big bite and get an L7 or an L9, go on eBay, get an L3, get it dusty, take it apart, take it completely apart, be ready, test it first, see if the hash boards work, but then take it apart, take it completely apart, dust it off, see what it is, learn what these things are. I mean, here's an L7 hash board right here. We could do a little show and tell. Oh, now but yeah, you've got heat sinks. You just learn the anatomy of what your miner's doing. And I that's the only recommendation I have, because you learn so much, whether you want to solo mine, you want to merge mine. You can either not merge mine with some coins, some pools, but that's stupid because you're just leaving stuff on the table, or they're taking it.
Use a pool that accommodates and pays out for all the work you're doing. If not, you're going to be doing the work for somebody else, which you don't want to do. I think if you have one unit, and this is kind of what you're talking about, if you have one unit at home, I think that's very reasonable. If you have a price point that says you can do an L3, or if you have a price point that says you can get an L7 or an L9, one unit should not destroy the comfort of your home.
Right.
Especially if you have one unit. Because it's basically going to be about as loud as your laundry running 24 hours a day. If you got now that's a lower tone than the fans, but the point is now a constant hum.
Do you have the inline fans on them, or do you have any of the mod kits?
I don't know. What I'm saying, you can do all that, but what I'm saying is for the individual, if they had one unit, whether it's an L3 or even an L9, it will. I liked the language you used, something about you have to live with it or something like this. It is different. It's going to sound like someone's mowing the lawn, for example. Yeah. But somebody will mow the lawn. You're already used to that sound. In terms of it destroying your internal treated climate, I'm in Texas. Some places are not as hot as Texas. If you're up in Vermont, you have more mild summers than we do, right? That'll even be more gentle then, because if you're having a unit sucking in all of the treated air, you're going to be paying for. I think it's
and one thing
the
you could
amount
do. I mean,
the amount of tonnage on a standard air conditioning is overcome with 2 L9s. In other words, the amount of treated air for a standard I'm failing with my linguistic capacity here with the unit, for example, that I have running in our home, for example. So like a standard garden variety, this tonnage is appropriate for your home. You only need 2 L9s to basically offset all of that.
Oh gosh.
In other words, it's going to suck so much air out, it's going to basically delete your AC.
Yeah.
Or make your AC work twice as hard. So that's why I said, if you have one unit open to air inside without any venting, it's not impossible. That room will be very hot.
That room, I do not recommend not venting.
And if you close the door, you're going to have a massive draft.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it can be done. Or let's say you do something real easy. You put it near a window, push that baby out the window, kick it out, and then it'll suck in the treated air and you seal around the window. That's
probably
probably a way to do it.
I really recommend the mod kits. Anybody who makes the decision to, bite the bullet, get an L3, L7, L9, and they find like, okay, maybe my space was a little smaller than I thought. Maybe this is a little louder than I thought. Maybe the fans on it are a little squeakier than I thought, and my dog is bothered by it, right? Those are all things that, people have occurred and people have gone through. And
if you're shooting that, let's say a direct venting outside of your home, make sure your neighbor's not going to hate you. But again, if with one unit, whether it's an L3 to an L9, one unit, you can sort it all out and then you can grow from there, I think. Does that sound reasonable?
For sure.
You could combine one unit, you can see how it works.
Residentially, I wouldn't go more than you have to go. You got to educate yourself, because don't buy 10 units for your house. You're not going to make it work. Don't do that, because you're gonna be like, oh, I gotta get $300,000 of electrical work done to get a freaking 800 amp panel on my house. Like, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
You need to assess your panel before. Yeah. If you're in an older home, especially, they're probably not going to do. These are all great questions, and this is why I ask you. You're an electrician, and you need to have electrician consultants if you want to walk this path. If you get anything beyond one unit, but I do think it's something that's interesting. It can be done from home. It is profitable.
Good business route.
It's not impossible. And I think more people should be thinking about mining Litecoin and being part of the decentralization of the mining effort.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And, lotto miners, I think will help with that a little bit too. At least try to help a little bit. They'll all be really trying to help,
Did you come up with any kind of cool ideas, or maybe you can blueprint something for capturing the wasted heat? I know some people have used it to heat hot tubs and things like this.
I know some people that don't run their miners in the summer and only run them in the winter, and that's to heat their house, and it's super efficient. And I see that often. So if you're in a cold place, you can easily do that. You get some of those 3D printed mod kits I was mentioning earlier. You can then just run your hoses wherever you want in your house. You can. That's what I plan on doing. Especially if they're long enough, which you want to, be wary of the heat at the end of those tubes, because they can get up to like 150 degrees Fahrenheit. So you want to run it, right at the back of that machine. It can get really hot. So you want to make sure that's dispersed a little bit. But yeah, you can do a lot of stuff. What I've actually been talking to like some HVAC guys and trying to learn a little bit about HVAC and backflow valves and things like that, to see if I could actually integrate this airflow into my system. But there's limit switches and there's a lot of stuff to think about I didn't consider. So the easiest thing really is just having a perpendicular system not related to it, and then making sure it doesn't hit your thermostat, right? to
Yeah.
to offset those things.
Yeah, definitely you want to vent the heat. If you can capture it, it's even better. If you have multiple units, you could duct them together to a unified plenum box, which you could direct outside of your home if you rigged it up in such a way. And maybe have a damper to like for in the wintertime where it would go to the return and just heat your entire house through your HVAC. Those things are really cool because you wouldn't have an electric bill or yeah, you wouldn't have an electric bill for heat at that point.
Yeah, and then there's also like heat exchangers on like water heaters and stuff. If you live in hotter climates, I've seen that done where people put miners in one room like one room away from their water heater, and then their water heater does something where it actually adds to their AC,
How much is
because
an
it's taking that
L3?
ambient heat.
Me,
L3, let's check it. Let me not speculate. Let's take a look. So an L3 is going to cost us. We'll go around 100, between 50 and 180 bucks, depending on what's
not
going on.
that at all.
So,
That to me, that sounds like an amazing heater that's has a little bit of profit baked in for your
yeah,
for your winter time. Throw it in the
especially
garage.
speculatively. I mean, everybody mining Bitcoin at a loss 10 years ago did not mine Bitcoin at a loss, right? That's
Yeah.
just whatever they got. And so, you could play those mind games with yourself too while you're
You
mining
could
it.
have a really noisy space heater that'll do a great job, and you'll actually have some Litoshis left over when you're done because you're going to have to
Yeah.
pay for energy anyway. The only thing is it's going to be a lot louder than the one you buy at Costco, but you're probably spending the same amount of money, 150 bucks for a decent
And you can
heating.
get around the noise. Like I was saying with those mod kits, you get one of those inline fans. Like they're inline duct fans, and people use them for growing weed a lot. Um, but you actually take apart your machine completely. You remove the fans. You put in a little jumper inside the actual machine that tricks the machine into thinking the fans are there and running and completely fine. And you have separately attached by a 3D printed mod that big inline fan blasting, and it's really quiet. And then you duct out the air with the tube.
And I'm not aware of those. Have you used any of those?
Yeah, yep. I've got two of them right now
And
running.
and it's quiet.
Yeah, yep. I've got one in this in where I live, and that one's quiet. And the other one, I'm sure they're doing fine out there.
You got it. Very good. Very good. Well, I think we covered a lot of ground. We talked about sad frogs, digital art, ordinals, marketplaces, multi-chaining to a degree, and just kind of ruminated along those lines. Home mining. What
Yeah, I
what
could go
what
off.
did we not discuss before we end the show with Rob?
Oh, well, what did we not discuss with us? Well, really, we got SadFrog. Stay tuned with it. I'm gonna keep tinkering. We've got these cool signs. I don't know if you can see them, but Litecoin accepted here signs.
Those are
There
cool.
will be more designs. Yep. Martin Seeger, he actually designs a lot of the stuff that we do. So we'll have some website out pretty soon. Stay tuned for that. I won't drop it just in case I get lazy and don't work on it by the time this is out. But stay tuned for some official announcements. And yeah, just that's it.
Does
So it was a great
Bits have
time.
any frogs left on his site, or are they all gone after the summit?
I believe they're all gone.
So Art
I
Toys
think,
doesn't have any at this point.
yeah, you'd have to double check with him. He might have some on the side, but as far as I'm aware, they've all been allocated. I actually got to reach out to Grant from Litecoin Underground because he's got to get his ordinal. He worked something out with me, and he got his toy, but then I forgot to give him his ordinal. So we got to make that happen.
He needs the mini frog mail. It's very important.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, good deal, man. Well, we appreciate you
Look,
coming on the show. I know where to find you. 84 is enough. Of course, there's SadFrogs LTC is the handle for your project
yep,
with SadFrogs.
yep, and the Etsy as well. Etsy is SadFrog Tech. I'll even for the show, I'll put in a I'll put in a coupon code for you guys. It'll be uh what it'll be 84 today.
84 today.
Yep. and that'll give you guys some stuff off. I'll figure that out.
So just 84 TODAY.
Yep, and I'll make sure that's the case.
Sounds good. You just got a bonus at the SadFrog shop. So cool,
There you
Rob.
go.
Appreciate you. Thanks for your time tonight. You've been a part of the community for a long time. We appreciate hearing you out today.
Thanks so much for having me, man. It's been a lot of fun. I love hearing myself talk, as a lot of people do. And it's been an honor being on this show, man. I've listened to every single freaking episode, and I'll listen to this one back as well and be like, dang, I really sound like that. Wow.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Par for the course. You get used to it, but amazing. Great to have you. Thank you for everyone who's listening. Thank you, Rob, for listening. Subscribe where we are found in terms of YouTube. We appreciate our subscribers there. We would like to see ourselves at 1,000 sooner than later. And go to 84million.com/podcast. You can find this episode, all of our episodes there. And we'll see you next time. Rob, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.